Hello everyone, it's Sean and welcome back to the channel. As mentioned in the very first video, we are also going to tackle my headlights. An issue that was occurring with them. Now these are aftermarket headlights, I think like R8 style or something like along those lines. And the issue is the LED runners, these LED runners down here, you got them on both sides. One of them has a burned out LED actually, and it was blowing a fuse. I did have them temporarily wired up to a separate fuse, those LEDs, with some drop-in resistors. But I've since I need to work on this video, I'm going to be replacing them or modifying it in a different way. I've wired back up the wiring harness the way it used to be, so I had to take out my previous modification for the LEDs that were on there and how I had it wired, and I just set them up exactly how that it would be wired if it was still factory. But anyways, you know, you probably don't have these headlights, and if you do, if you burned out LEDs, if you had burned out LEDs and you found replacements for them, drop that comment and down in the description. I'd be happy to see what you found that will work for that. What I'm going to do instead is I got these LED runners that I'm going to put inside the headlights that are actually really cool. They kind of like fill in white. It's hard to explain. And then they also have a blinker function, so I can tie it to my blinker, the voltage source that supplies the blinker, and I can make them also blink as well. So we're going to put like an LED runner inside, yes, inside of these headlights. Which means that A, we're going to have to take the headlights out of the vehicle, and B, we're going to have to take the headlights apart, which, spoiler warning, is going to require cooking them. I'll show you what I mean a little bit later on. But in order to do this, in order to get this accomplished, you know, we're going to have to remove the headlights, and that's going to be the first thing. I'm not going to really go over how to remove headlights out of a Mark 5 or MKV Volkswagen Jetta. There are many videos out there that you can watch concerning that. So I'm not going to cover all that in this video. This is primarily just to go over the headlight modification we're going to do. But it is going to require some Torx bits to remove off the front fascia, pretty much. In a lot of videos, it's going to have you remove the front bumper as well. There are ways around that. Again, you know, if you think through your processes and you watch those videos, you'll find out how you can get around those things. However, if you don't, yes, remove your front bumper. It will save you time, because when you keep the front bumper in and you remove the headlights, you have to be very careful of your clearances, and you can actually scratch up your headlights if you're not too careful. I think I did that on one. Yeah, I wasn't incredibly careful, and I kind of scratched up this headlight a little bit with keeping the bumper in. But that was my mistake. It is possible though to leave the bumper on. So first things first, I'm going to get these out, and once I have them out, we're going to go inside and I'll show you what I mean by cooking them. So here goes the headlights out, and like I said, bumper's still on. You can kind of see my method, how I go about this. What you're seeing on the ground here, I use a little pry tool to take these panels right here, pop them out, and that gives me access. I can use a Torx bit on a long, kind of like a long shaft, to access several bolts that hold in. And then from there, you have like one tab here, one down there, that's where the two long bolts are at, then a short one that goes up top. You just kind of, with this guy, you got to get it, you push in the headlight a little bit, you kind of fold this out, and you can get that tab on the inside and out this way. And then concerning the bottom tab down there, it's going to be blocked if you just try to take it direct out. So while it's kind of pushed in, you kind of rotate and tilt and lift up. So rotate inwards, tilt and lift up until that bottom tab clears, and then you can start taking it out, and it will come out relatively easy that way. If one of those long bolts happen to drop down, say down into your wheel well, you can fish it out at that time once the headlight's out. So that's essentially it. Now I need to get these headlights inside, and we need to take them apart. All right, now that I have the headlights out, we got to do a bit of prep work before we bake these. All right, if you don't have gloves on, I highly encourage you to put gloves on, at least at this time. I need to remove my halogen lamp and my turret signal lamp, and I'm going to have to set those aside somewhere safe. You don't want to hold the bulbs on the halogen lamp with the oils on your finger. Getting onto it's going to decrease the lifespan, so it says many different people. Whether that's true or not, I honestly don't know, but I think it's safe to put on gloves regardless. But what we really need to do after the bulbs are out is we got to remove this this front clear cover, and believe it or not, those are held in via a bead of kind of like a glue that can get malleable again once it's heated up. Excuse me, my 3-year-old's beside me. You can say hi, Ainsley.
Hi.
Hi. She's helping me out. So what I'm going to do is, you have like 4 push pins on these headlights. 1, 2, and I think there's 2 more underneath. 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And then I've actually had to have this one apart once before because there was a diode in it that affected the high beams that burned out, and I needed to replace it. But then there's a bead of glue, like I mentioned, all the way around it, and you can tell that I've pried on this one once before. But that glue needs to get warmed up so the headlight cover can come out, can come off, and you can pry it off. And you just heard my stove beeping because that's essentially what we're going to use. If you follow me around, I got my stove set to the lowest temperature possible that I can set it to. And we're going to do 5-minute intervals. I'm going to leave it in for 5 minutes, check to see if it's malleable enough for me to start prying it off. And I think at max you don't want to go over 10 minutes. You know, I want this warm enough to loosen up that glue, not to melt anything, and I don't want to leave the headlight in there forever. So I'm going to do a 5 or 10 minute interval thing, and you know, once it's in there, I'll take it out and I'll start prying it apart after I get those push pins out, and we'll go from there. And like I said, headlight out, and 1 into the oven it goes.
Yeah.
And we're gonna set a timer and come check back on it in 5 minutes. Well, got this counting down for another 5 minutes because it's just not getting, the sealant's not getting, the adhesive is not getting hot enough. So I think what we're going to do instead is I'm going to bump our temp up to about 230, and then I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and we'll check again. 230, that's Fahrenheit, and 10 minutes, and we'll check again to see if the sealant is finally starting to loosen up. 230, 10 minutes, definitely did it. This is, I would suggest maybe just 15 because of that first cycle. But you can see this gets a little bit messy with that, with that stuff. And I need to get this disconnected. I need to do this 2 hands. It's very messy. I don't want to get this the sealant everywhere in here and ruin the aesthetics. But that's pretty much it. Work quickly once you get it out. Start prying it apart. It doesn't take much prying to get it apart. But you know, 230, 10-15 minutes, and you can pry off the front lens. Okay, both headlights are now fully lenses fully removed. 230 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever that is in Celsius, you can do the conversion. 15 minutes is all it took for this other one. Worked perfectly. Again, very hot. So when you take them out, be cautious. If you touch a metal tab or something, that's going to burn you. The plastic is hot. It's not comfortable. I didn't burn myself, but I found out if I, you know, with my gloves on, if I held the plastic on the back side here and the plastic on the front here and just used my hands to pull them both apart, they came apart with relative ease. I only had to like start prying the bottom piece just a little bit, and then once it started to slide out, then I just grabbed both ends and pulled them all the way apart. Extremely messy when this adhesive, this sealant is loose you know, gone back to a malleable state. So you're going to have to clean that up. And again, that's going to be a bit of a mess, but no big deal. So if you're following along and you need to take the lens cap off of your headlights, you know, something to think about. Now, I want to test which LED strip is the one that's burned out. I think it is the right side where one is burned out. Could be the left. Not too sure, but we got our connectors here, and I can take that over to my office. We can hook it up to my bench power supply, and we can test from there. Okay, first we're going to test the driver's side. In America, that's the left-hand side. LED stream, and what I've done is I've just connected my bench top power supply directly to the lines. I was able to pull out the pins by inserting this little metal piece into the connector behind here, slide it behind here, that pushed this tab in, and then I could remove the wires from out of its physical connector. But we'll turn this up and get it to about 12 volts and see if the LEDs on this side turn on or if they stay off. And we're not drawing any current whatsoever. Not even at 10. There goes 12 volts. Yeah, no current draw. That tells me that we probably have one, if not multiple LEDs out on this side. No current draw whatsoever. Imagine even if I try to reverse these leads, let's say by chance I do have them backwards, it might be the same thing. Let's see. Yeah, still no current draw. Nice, so if I say that this LED strip is completely gone, now I could pull out these individual LED strips and test each LED on them. Not too sure if I'm going to do that yet because we are replacing it with something else. Just haven't quite figured out how I'm going to go about that. They might have to come out either way. Let's get the right-hand side or passenger side tested. Well, I may have done the first one wrong. We actually needed to get this up to 24 volts in order for the LEDs to turn on. There's a block inside of the other side of the assembly. I assume that's a step-up transformer then. But all the LEDs are illuminating on this side. Let me recheck the other one again. Okay, and as kind of feared, this LED strip is working as well, so the issue is not with the LEDs, but with the transformer inside of inside the housing. Okay, so I'll show you what exactly is wrong here. It's actually this block right here. So what is occurring, and I'll throw a little diagram up on the display, but there goes the connector that goes to the vehicle. And the 10th pin is the pin that feeds the LEDs. Okay, that's going to be that red wire. Okay, now this isn't focusing very well. See that red wire right there on the top left-hand corner? That's what feeds the LEDs. And then when you look to the down one row and to the right, you see those two pink ones. One feeds the turn signal. That's the positive for the turn signal. And the other one, even though it's positive for the turn signal, it's also wrapping around, feeding, going through here. It's feeding split out, and one part feeding into this connector here. So you gotta, or maybe that's a ground, I'll have to go back and check. But both of those are coming to this block, which is going to here. And then that voltage is being stepped up to 24 volts coming out of here. Okay. So what we're actually going to need to do, and that, I feel like that kind of explains why this this diode here blew previously. Maybe that's the reason why that diode there burned up. I replaced it with the Schottky diode, so it was able to withstand quite a bit more abuse. So most likely it's this that's bad, and one of these step-up transformers that's causing the issue that we're having. So we're on to do something else. I'll show you what I've got in mind. All right, so what I have are these kind of LED strips right here. Got negative 12 volt, positive. That's 12 volt for a turn signal if you want to hook it up that way as well. But essentially what happens is, let's get this turned up. And you can see it turns on pretty cool. And then if you were to supply another 12 volt source here, it would turn yellow, and you can use it as an indicator too. I want to use this as a replacement for these LEDs. However, they run longer. Hold on a second, I'll show you. Give me 1 second. They're way too long to mount on externally, and I think that's going to be very ugly. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have to mount them underneath the shell. So I'm going to have to remove these LED strips and get them glued in and mounted that way. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so this is the compromise I came up with. I actually pulled the LED strips out of those casings, and then I ran them through here and then fed them in through that last hole, and used some hot glue to keep them in. I'm hoping that will last for a while. Time will tell if I have to take these back apart or not, but for now it seems to be doing just fine. Now what I need to do, and I tested these after I put them in and they're still working good on my power supply, is I need to take these pins and I need to wire them into the wiring harness inside the light. And so essentially what we're going to do is pin 10 will be the LED, that's going to be the red wire. Pin 9 is the signal, that's that green wire here. And then 7 is going to be the ground for our high beams, our LEDs, and our signal. So that's going to be the ground that we use. So we'll be able to wire up all 3 lines. And when you come over here, it's the exact same color code: red, green, and pink. So I'm going to get all these soldered in, and then we got to bake them again to get the lenses back on, and we can get them into the car. Okay, before I take the headlights outside and we get them installed, I kind of want to take a minute to try and prove the fault. Now, the more time I spent with this, we know that the LEDs require 24 volts to illuminate in the headlights, and we tested the LEDs and they will turn on once we get our voltage up to 24 volts. My theory, what I think this is a boost converter or step up converter that takes 12 volts from our headlights and outputs 24. So I've devised just a simple test because I want to prove the fault to see if there's an issue with this one or this one over here, in which we will test this out and we'll check the voltage at the output. So I'm going to turn up my power supply, and let's see if I can keep my fingers out of the way. And this one appears to be working, but not as a step up transformer or boost converter or whatever you want to call it. We're essentially putting in 9 and getting out 9. And for the most part, this appears to be rather linear. I mean, some voltage drop through there. But, okay. So maybe this one is shorted on the secondary somewhere, and it's not stepping up the voltage. Yeah, let's plug the other one in. Okay, with the other one plugged in, we're going to run the same test. And immediately we're drawing a lot of current and we're not getting much of an output. Okay. So this is probably the one that is that's blowing the fuse. Okay, so this one has a short on the primary side, more than likely. Which I don't remember which one either one came out of now. I should have probably marked them. There is a part number on the back. That first part number corresponds to just a standard Depo or Depo, however you pronounce it, total 17D1101N2 is you know, what's used in the headlights, and you can see it's silver marked in there, so that way I think that indicates that's not this number down here, that's going to be this one. Both of them have the same part number right there. I haven't looked up that 10RD3 yet to see what that is, or 03 1542, but something tells me I'm not going to quite find those. But again, you know, still the headlight with those LEDs, when we first tested, it took 24 volts for them to turn on. I know now that there's 12 volts feeding into the primary on this, and I assume this is a transformer. This will be the secondary. My assumption is it's a stepped up transformer to take 12 volts to 24 volts for driving the LEDs. So you could call it LED driver, a boost converter, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I think is going on here. And we've at least proven that this one is definitively bad. It's shorted on the primary. And then my assumption is, because it's linear through here on this LED, on this transformer, that there's probably a short somewhere on the secondary. Could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. Y'all can let me know what you think in the comments. But we've definitely proven the fault at this point, definitively with this one. So that's what was taking those LEDs out. And I'll save those LEDs. At some point I might get a boost converter, step up transformer or something to replace inside those headlights. But for now I'm just going to leave them the way they are, with the LED strips that we've soldered into there. Okay, let's go get to installing everything back into the car. Okay, now that I've got the headlights together, I pushed the lenses on, stuck them in the oven to get them warmed up again, then pushed them in even more, put the pins, all 4 pins back in, all that after I soldered the wires up. Now it's time to, you know, now that those are together and the bulbs are back in, it's time to get them back into the vehicle. I suppose what I'll do is I'll get the headlights in, but not screwed in yet, just in place enough to hook up the cables or our plugs and give it a test. Now at this point in the day, my kids are about to come home from school, so I won't be able to work on this for much longer. So if I get it in and it's tested and it doesn't work, this video is going to have to be a quits. But hopefully it does, and hopefully I can just tidy up from there and we'll be done with this. Let me get these headlights backed in and plugged in. Okay, so I decided just to do an all or nothing gimbal, and I just went ahead and put everything back together. So let's hit our keys to see if they activate. Oh, we get a blink. That's good. Let's unlock. Hey, super sweet. Yeah, I like it. Okay, whatever. If you enjoyed this video of me goofing around with my car, getting that last thing done, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. You know, this will probably be the last vehicle maintenance video before we hit the road. So all that being said, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye. Bart?